Hello, my name is Rebecca Gonzalez, and I am the mother of two amazing, smart, and beautiful special needs children. My son Gavin, who is now age 7, has multiple disabilities, including autism, cerebral palsy, cyclic vomiting syndrome, and an extremely rare genetic anomaly. At 3 years of age, Gavin was diagnosed with autism. He was nonverbal, had no imaginary play, and was stuck in his own world. He would spend hours lining toys up across the room, and he was fascinated with shapes and numbers. Due to his lack of expressive language, Gavin was given an iPad by the local school district as a communication device. He would use the iPad daily, but we never really gave up hope that he would one day find his voice. Gavin had his first seizure in March of 2014 while taking his afternoon nap. We knew that seizures were a possibility given the diagnosis of cerebral palsy, but to see our son vomiting while passing in and out of consciousness, that's something that as a parent you can never really prepare for. His neurologist at the time started him on Keppra, which is an anti-seizure medication, and we were told that it was the best medication with the least amount of long-term side effects. We were sent home with our drugged up 3-year-old, and we were told that was just the way that it had to be. We knew in our hearts there had to be a better way of life than this, because within days of starting Keppra, Gavin became emotional, unpredictable, and just uncontrollable. He would have fits of rage, and I felt like our family was falling apart. We knew in our hearts there had to be a better solution for our son. We were not willing to accept this as our new way of life. So desperate to get our son back, we began researching alternative medications. And after watching a CNN documentary entitled Weeds, my husband and I began to research cannabis oil. We weren't even sure if that was going to be an option for our family, but after some research and through various Facebook support groups, we found an amazing pediatric cannabis doctor. Her name is Dr. Bonnie Goldstein, and she helped start us with medical marijuana and to start our journey to better health for our son. And we prayed, but we never knew the extent of which cannabis oil would improve our son's physical, mental, and emotional health. Gavin took his first dose of Miriam's Hope cannabis oils in March of 2014. The results were honestly astounding. Within 10 days of starting the high CBD oil known as ACDC from Miriam's Hope, Gavin began speaking in 6 to 7 word sentences. His vocabulary before starting the oil was, "I want more," or "I need help." I remember the day that I was sitting in our bedroom and I was folding laundry, and Gavin came in with the laundry basket and he put it on his head and he said, "Look, Mom, I'm an astronaut in a rocket ship." It was just truly amazing, and none of us could believe it. The school district took back his communication device. He was now able to effectively communicate his wants and needs, and he didn't need it any longer. But most importantly, we were able to wean Gavin from the pharmaceutical medications and treat him only with cannabis oil. We are now 3 years into it, and we have a 90% seizure reduction with Miriam's Hope cannabis oils only. It's just amazing. Since his first dose of cannabis oil, Gavin is now seizure-free, pharmaceutical-free, and just thriving. Not only do we have proven seizure controls verified through multiple EEGs that we do for 72 hours at a time, but probably the most shocking is that since starting on Miriam's Hope cannabis oils, autism is no longer a qualifying placement for the school district, which means he is doing fantastic. We like to call him G-Man. His name is Gavin, and he's just been amazing, and we really owe a lot of it, to Miriam's Hope cannabis oils. It's changed our lives. So now I would like to tell you a little bit about my daughter. Her name is Casey. Casey was diagnosed with autism also at the age of 3, just like her brother. But unlike her brother, Casey did a lot of self-stimulating behavior, such as rocking back and forth and flopping her hands. But the worst part was that when Casey would get overwhelmed or overstimulated, she would injure herself by scratching her face, arms, legs, and torso. It's the saddest thing to see your 3-year-old just having these 2-hour meltdowns where she had to be restrained by my husband and myself to keep her from injuring herself. And it was just heartbreaking. She would vomit from the overstimulation and the anxiety, and we really began to fear for the safety of our son and just the rest of the family members, and really for her own safety. So in March of 2015, my husband and I decided to treat Casey's autism with cannabis oil because we had had such immediate success with our son. And it was a very different road for our daughter. We tried the same treatments. We used Miriam's Hope cannabis oils, and we used different ratios and different strains, and it really it took us a long time to figure out the right combination of cannabis and different cannabinoids and strains of the plant that will work for our daughter. But finally, after months and months of working with Miriam's Hope and experimenting with different strains and ratios, Miriam's Hope came up with Casey's oil for us, and it is named after our daughter Casey, and we had immediate success with this oil. Within days of starting this custom tincture that Miriam's Hope made for us, Casey became calm, responsive, and she was able to attend to specific tasks. It was just remarkable, and this was really our last hope, because our pediatric doctor was really pushing for us to start her on some antipsychotic medication, and I just knew that putting a 3-year-old on an antipsychotic, at least in our situation, was just not something that we were willing to do at that point in our life. This was really just the miracle that we had all been praying for. Her receptive and her expressive language skills improved, and her imaginary play just blossomed. That was probably the most impressive thing with her. She had never shown interest in dolls or age-appropriate toys, and she never engaged in functional play. But after starting Miriam's Hope cannabis oils, especially Casey's oil, we just saw everything improve. Her imaginary play is amazing. She dances around the house, she mimics, she has tea parties. She is just an amazing little girl and so fun to watch. But most importantly, Casey no longer exhibits self-injurious behavior, which to us was the most important thing. She is now happy and healthy and just doing fantastic. Unfortunately, with all special needs children, there are always new diagnoses that come along with them. And Casey had her first grand mal seizure in August of this year. We were not expecting seizures with our daughter. We knew it was a possibility with Gavin, but with Casey, it came right out of the blue. We found her unconscious and covered in vomit in her bedroom. We called 911, and then 6 weeks later, she had another grand mal seizure, which ended her in the ICU being intubated because she went into respiratory distress. This was so frightening for our family that we did what the doctor said, and we took her home and we put her on seizure meds, and it was the worst decision that we had ever made for her. Again, we knew that we couldn't just let her have seizures, but this pharmaceutical medication was so hard on her, and her aggressive behaviors just came back like full force. She began screaming, punching herself in the forehead. I had to put a foam helmet on her. We had to restrain her. I had to keep her home from school. It was just so heartbreaking and so terrible. So after, and not only were her self-injurious behaviors coming back, but it also wasn't controlling her seizures. She was having minor petit mal seizures at school. So the pharmaceutical medication just was not helping. So after consulting with our neurologist and Dr. Goldstein, we decided to wean her from the pharmaceutical and to increase her CBD dosage to a more therapeutic range. And since then, we've weaned her off of the pharmaceutical medications, and she has been, I believe it's 8 weeks tomorrow, where she has been seizure-free with cannabis oil only. So it's just been a miracle, and her self-injurious behaviors are now gone. So this is truly a blessing to our family, and we really owe our family's happiness and our life back to Miriam's Hope. They've been amazing to us. They are compassionate and caring people, and I'm not sure where we would have been without them today if it hadn't been for them just stepping in and helping our family. So that is our story, and I hope that it inspires other people to really, do what you think is right and reach beyond yourself and fight for your children, because there are other things out there for them than the drugs that the doctors try to prescribe you. Find a support system and just follow your heart. And thank you very much, and I hope that everybody finds what they need in this world.